What are we getting ourselves into? Today we're going to be talking about national security and how dangerous it is with a few stories that's coming up. Some deal with our land, the U.S. soil, and some deal with what we're dabbling in. And some of these stories may surprise you. Not only that, why would they release a manifesto from the second attempt, but still not release the Nashville manifesto? But think about that for a second. And it's going to blow your mind what he said in it. Do you think it's going to open up more doors for other attempts because of what they released? It's mind-blowing. And then all of a sudden, France, its leader, calls and says, we need to change some things about this world. This world order is bad. We need a new one. As he calls for the new world order. Crazy times. We're going to be talking about some of these stories and much more. Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome to the Max. Thank you so very much for being here today. If you are new to the channel, go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell. Give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down, that's okay, but let us know what you think about the content of today's video. Now, if you notice, we're not at home. We've been on the road, but of course, you can check that out on the vlog channel, The Max Life, but we actually are in kind of the eye of where the storm is going to be coming through. So we're not able to actually get back to our home yet, so we're going to kind of wait it out down here in the eye of the storm, literally. So, hey, prayers for all the people that's in the eye of the storm. Hopefully it won't be as bad as what we thought, and we'll be able to get through it and be safe. Now let's talk about the stories of today and how important they are. Let's talk about this manifesto first, and then we're going to move into some national security issues, and then we'll kind of wrap it all up with my thoughts on these stories. All right, so the failed Trump attempt, the second one. Guess what he had in his possession? He wrote letters, and the FBI released these letters. Now, they won't release the letters and manifesto of any other situation, but they did on Trump. But why did they do it? I'm going to dive a little deeper. It says the deranged leftist who attempted to take the life of president was in possession of a list of venues, listen to this, of venues and events where the GOP nominee, which is Trump, is going to appear over all of August to October. Now tell me how he got that list. Now I know some of this stuff is public, but remember, this was off the list. The golfing event was off the list. How does he have a list? This guy who could not pay child support, who was a construction worker, had nothing to his name, has been charges brought up against him, but all of a sudden can go to Ukraine, all of a sudden lives in Hawaii now, and has the power to get the list of the president. Do you not think that's unbelievable? Now, not only does he have the list of what the president is doing and where he is going for the next 3 months, which is unbelievable in itself. Eli Crane said this, which is a representative, said, I may be suggesting that there could be someone that's a mole in the Secret Service. Now that's a big, bold statement, I know. But how else would he have the list and the itinerary of the President of the United States or the former President of the United States? That's pretty eye-opening. Now let's talk about what he said in this letter. Now remember, you don't have the Nashville manifesto. You don't have any other suicide notes or letters from some of these heinous crimes. But all of a sudden they were released in an ongoing investigation where the guy did not die. He just got taken in hostage. He got taken by the police. You got what he wrote? We hadn't even heard from the first attempt. But this is why I believe they released the second attempt. Ryan Ruth failed to attempt on President Trump. Ruth is now offering $150,000 bounty for anyone who takes the life of Trump. So they're releasing this to show in public record that if anybody does, he's willing to pay money to them. Don't you think that's a little sleight of hand? Don't you think that's a little dangerous? They release this guy's manifesto, but not anyone else's that tells the truth of what happens. Why did they release it? Do you think it's because they all want this to happen, and maybe this opens up like a purge situation where now, all holds barred, we're all going to take his life? $150K? I think that is a shady third world country kind of thing to do. FBI releases this. That shows the FBI is tainted and dangerous. The DOJ is the one who helped release this. And you know, it was one of those situations where the letter was almost like a quote-unquote complete the job. It's dangerous. That shows this system that Trump is fighting and that we're fighting so hard for needs to be fought harder and we need to wake up, because this is serious. If I was Trump again, I'd hire private people to take care of me, because I would not trust the DOJ, FBI, or the Secret Service. Now let's move on to the escalation. If you haven't been watching, and I mentioned this yesterday's video with Israel, Hezbollah was able to get a drone attack further into Israel more than anyone else was, really in the last years. The thing is then, that made Israel really step it up. It says Netanyahu vows attacks on Lebanon, and it won't stop, and it will escalate, especially since Hezbollah deepened the strikes in Israel and actually got further than anyone before other than October 7th. This one-way drone was able to hit a base in Haifa. Once again, President Biden, who's our fearless leader, has issued a contradictory message on the Middle East crisis, with Israel in the second day of greatly ramping up airstrikes. After this attack happened, Israel set off to ramp it up. Now remember, Israel will get blamed for this, but Hezbollah, they're the ones that attacked first with this drone attack. And then Israel ramped it up, and they got a green light from their people and also the U.S. administration. However, Biden's trying to walk that back and said he would never escalate it. Well, when you have military and politics and people like Zelensky coming over and signing missiles that you're wanting to sell to them, that's not peace. That's warning time of war. And that's exactly what's happening here. Now, do I believe Israel should defend themselves? Absolutely. But it's going to come with an escalation. And scarily, it's going to come with us getting escalated into the Middle East once more, because no one can resolve this. Hezbollah doesn't want to resolve this. Palestinian people don't either. Remember, go back in time. Do your Bible history. Who are the Palestinian people? It's the people of Philistia. Philistines. That's what it's traced back to be. Now we're talking about going back in the days of, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and even down to where David, killed Goliath. The Philistines have always been in war against Israel, and you're not going to stop it. But we can also help de-escalate it, and America is not doing that whatsoever, especially when Biden is spending more time on vacation than he is actually leading. And this leads me right into one of the last stories, and this is what scares me. Francis Macron calls for the end of incomplete and unjust world order. We need time of peace. Now, I laugh because when these leaders say they need time of peace, they're the ones also selling and giving tons of arms to the Zelensky in Ukraine to defend us, to go into the peace negotiations, even when he's losing, literally, this war of Russia-Ukraine. But they're saying this is unjust, so we need a new world order. Now they're saying the quiet parts out loud. They're saying exactly what they're wanting. He is saying Europe needs a new way. They need a new world. We need to get away and leave this unjust and incomplete world behind and look for peace. Well, it's not peace through strength. It's actually peace through war. And what I mean by that is they're not willing to give up what they want, so they want you to give up what you have. Is this the step? As we see in Europe, what happens in Europe, it ends up coming to the United States. Are we going to see this quote-unquote new world order? And lastly, I want to leave you something that is encouraging. It's sad, but it's encouraging. What did I tell you about RFK and Tulsi and all these people that are coming over, and Nicole Shanahan, all these Democratic people who are now supporting Trump? Brett Weinstein, brilliant professor, scientist, and really someone who you would not consider a right-wing person at all. Wouldn't consider a Republican at all. Wouldn't consider anything near what we in this the right would say is normalcy. But he came out in support of Trump. And he said, I was lingering on RFK and what RFK was going to say, and when RFK backed Trump, it showed that he was the right man for the job. He said, this is potentially the end of the West if we keep going at this trajectory that we're on. Now, this is a prominent Democratic leader, someone who has been on the Democratic side for his whole life. He's a brilliant scholar. And typically, liberal white scholars don't stand for Trump. But you're starting to see the Bill Ackmans, the David Sacks, the Brett Weinstein. You're starting to see them to move to Trump because they're saying, we cannot stay at this trajectory. Our money is failing. Our system is failing. And the only way that we're going to have freedom is when Republicans and Democrats stand together as Americans against the systemic danger of this establishment. So when you start hearing prominent Democrats like RFK, his whole family lineage is Democrat. Nicole Shanahan, Tulsi Gabbard. I mean, Nicole Shanahan was a Democratic handler. She was one of the ones who helped fund these accounts and these campaigns. And now, again, she stands with Trump. Brett Weinstein doesn't really have a lot to do with Trump when it comes to his belief in him. But he said, you know what? If RFK can believe in him, I believe in him. And when you start hearing that, that shows how valuable RFK's endorsement was. Now, you know, I told you this was about national security. We kind of wanted to hit on that this time because it's dangerous. I mean, listen, August to October's event schedule of Trump was leaked. I mean, that's bad news. The fact that we have escalation with Russia, Ukraine, because here Zelensky is literally getting brought over here as a campaign push in our military Air Force planes to ultimately get more money and more shells. That's not peace. So we're escalating there, and then we're seeing escalation with Hezbollah in Israel. Not only that, I want to bring up one more story, and then we are wrapping it up. Listen to this. This is unbelievable. U.S. border agents find RPGs, IEDs, near the southern border. Internal alert and drastic escalation is happening with the cartels at the border. It's because we're not guarding it. It says an alarming battle between rival factions of the gangs that are there and the cartels that are there are right on the Mexican-U.S. border. Near the Biden-Harris administration's open border policy, we're seeing it happen even worse, and now it's moving onto U.S. soil from Mexico. 4 RPGs and 8 IEDs were found along with a ton more ammo at a scout site from Mexico just across Arizona, next to the border. Border Patrol agents are being warned of drastic escalation. So again, our leader, who is supposed to be leading in Russia, Ukraine, who should already have peace agreements, but he pushed against it, should be handling the situation with Israel and Hezbollah, but he's speaking out of both sides of it. He's speaking out on both sides of his mouth while saying he's going to do one thing and supporting another. The whole purpose is he wants to play both sides. Now, again, back to the border, we see that more dangerous weapons are heading across our border. Do we really believe the national security, the safety of a former president and the one that's running against him now, along with the fact of all these problems, is not a risk and really a statement of emergency for our nation? As Brett Weinstein said, this is the end of the West, the fall of the West, if we don't elect Donald Trump. That's a bold statement from a lifelong Democrat. Guys, give me your thoughts on this video. Kind of hit these stories because these are important things when it comes to our safety. Your family's got to grow up in this. Do you want them safe, or do you want them to live like Europe is doing, in terror just about every day? Guys, again, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel as we do a giveaway each and every month. If you want to know more about our vlog and what we're doing on this trip, go to the Max Life. You'll see a lot of that. Guys, thank you so much for watching. God bless.